Welcome to episode 4 of Body Geeks podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Gerdes, and alongside my co-host, Mason Cervantes. So, what are you doing for Cinco de Mayo?
As my dad would used to say, when he would have a dry shift, he would say NDT. And I would always laugh because NDT meant not a damn thing. So when he told me that as a little kid, I thought it was like our little lingo, So NDT, not a damn thing.
Yeah, same here. I think I have like 2 Modelo in the fridge. I might drink one of those afterwards.
Yeah.
So,
You know what I did today? The most exciting part. It's nice because I've been bouncing all over. So my job, we just finished up a job out in Palmdale, as I kind of been mentioning over the last couple of weeks. And then sometimes you have this like period where they kind of float you around because they don't have an exact spot for you or your next job hasn't started yet or something like that. So this whole week was just like, oh, the whole entire week you're going to be in LA. And then my usual mechanic was going to be swapped somewhere else. Well, part of the week I was somewhere else, and then now today, tomorrow, and Friday, somewhere else than I was. So it's always like all over the place, but it makes work interesting when you're changing scenery like that. But yeah. So I was on this cool job Monday and Tuesday called the Wrapper Building, WRAPPER. If you actually look online, actually I could probably look it up on my phone and then put a thing on here.
Yeah, try that. If not, I got let me see, because we haven't done that yet on this podcast. So yeah. I got the internet right here. So let's see, Wrapper Building.
Yeah, Wrapper Building. WRAPPER. You'll see like you'll see a rough sketch of it, and then that's what it's going to look like when it's finished. Yeah, so it's actually one of the, I don't know if it's the only building in its existence, maybe out here.
Here, let me try sharing my screen.
Yeah.
And we'll see if this works.
Yeah, so what it is, it's
go.
Right on. Oh, we're like semi-professional now.
I know, yeah. How cool is that?
Right? Yeah, so actually what it is all that steel that you see, that's all like weird, looks like Magneto built it, is that's actually the structural steel. So the structural steel is on the outside of the building, and then they build everything inside of it.
So that building looks badass, and I appreciate like art, I guess the best way to put it. Yeah. But at the same time, this is kind of like, I don't know, like we got so bored with regular buildings. Somebody was like, you know what? I'm going to design a functional building, and it's going to look like somebody just balled up a bunch of string and threw it on the ground.
Yeah, it's exactly what it looks like. It looks like a kid, like he just put a pen to paper and let his kid go crazy with it. And he's like, you know what? That's our structural steel.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's wild. Yeah, so I mean, those are like finished renderings of what it's supposed to look like. But if you scroll down a little bit, you can probably see like there's something, there's like some rough steel. Oh yeah, right there. That's a good picture. Yeah, so that one is a better idea of like what it kind of looks like right now. Like everything's looks rusted over, I'm sure. So I don't know if they're gonna like paint it but yeah. So yeah, I was on that for a few days. And,
they're building this big, massive building with rusty steel.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Hey, it's part of the look. I mean, it is LA, but yeah. So that's 16. I believe it's 16 stops on the way up. So 16 stories up, and then I think there's like some basement to it as well, or like a garage that's supposed to go in there.
Oh, there it is. I found another one. I was kind of like, because I know a lot of the movement with modern architecture is to incorporate like plants into the building.
Yeah.
And I, for one, like, I love that stuff. For me, I mean, I love the mountains and being in nature. So if I could be in the city and the building is growing plants, like I'm stoked on that. So I was kind of surprised not to see that until I found this picture, and I see they got, looks like they're going to put a nice yard for all the homeless people who live under the underpass. So
yeah, right. Yeah, that's going to be the most frustrating thing. They're going to put this like millions and millions into it, and then it's just going to be littered with homeless like the following week.
Yeah, hopefully they get a handle on that at some point. Hopefully they try at some point. But yeah, you gotta, baby steps.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you were. I think because you're out. Yeah, you were out of the valley at the time. But the talk of the town was, or I don't. Then again, I actually wouldn't be. I'm not much of a conspiracy theorist, but there's some weird stuff that's going on with everything. But one of those was that I guess downtown cleared up a little bit for a while, and that was because they shipped in all the homeless to the valley, and I mean, which would not be, if I didn't live there, I would have been like, you know what, that's fucking horseshit. But because I was living there, I was like, why is there like just mountains of homeless on the underpasses over here?
Well, I remember shoot, like well over a decade ago when I was getting close to finishing my degree, right? I applied for a few police officer jobs. It was kind of when Mark was doing it too, you know? And one of those was actually Monterey Park, which the irony is I live in Monterey Park now. I never, you know, back then I didn't even know where it was. And it's just east of East LA, right?
Yeah.
They had told me, like I spoke to a few people to try and get an idea of what the job was like. And I was thinking like, oh, it's by East LA, so there's probably like a lot of cool cop work. You all hear some stories, and they're like, well, you know, Monterey Park's a pretty like upscale area, you know, for the general area there. Right. And so we basically just like make sure all the crime and homeless stay in East LA. And so like that's kind of what you're saying, how they just basically shipped all the homeless from LA to the valley. You know?
Exactly.
So there's cities they're like, we have a border, we're just going to kind of move this encampment a little bit further and let the other city deal with it. It's kind of crazy.
Right. Yeah, and yeah, especially like I said, with everything going on, and I mean the way the higher ups have been in California, I'm not completely. It doesn't sound out of the question.
Hey, I work for the government now. The higher ups are doing an awesome job.
Oh yeah, that's right. Your bosses are.
Yeah, I try not to get too political. I'm a conspiracy theorist that keeps my conspiracies to myself. Actually, one thing I've joked around now, the older I get, and especially working for the government now, I tell people, I'm like, don't chalk anything up for conspiracy that you can chalk up for incompetence, because it's way more likely to just be incompetence than it is. The government is not that organized, unfortunately.
Oh yeah,
now I see it firsthand. I'm like, oh, all right.
Yeah, at the end of the day, yeah, they're. I mean, a lot of things come down to human error, and it's like, I mean, how many times are you anywhere? How many times are you just doing your job? You know, or how many times were we doing our job where we had like some major oversights, you know, or some minor oversights that you're like, how did I miss that? You know, and it can like snowball.
That's like I was telling somebody earlier, I'm like, I'm smart enough to be confident, but dumb enough to be humble. So,
yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Dude, I'm looking at some of these other pictures here. I'm getting some real like Avengers vibes from some of this.
Yeah, right. Oh, that'd be cool.
For the next series of superheroes, they're gonna have to film something in this video. It's in LA. We're good, you know.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah, look at that. I could totally see like Tony Stark right there, the ghost of Tony Stark, the hologram, you know, something.
Oh, that'd be insane. Now I'm getting my hopes up. Speaking of,
yeah, I was gonna say, here's our segue.
Yeah, speaking of, did you see the little? It was like a 3-minute clip they had. I think you could probably find it on Marvel, like Instagram, or you could find it on IGN. Instagram.
Oh, hang on a second, Mason. You're getting choppy. I might need to swap the internet. Let me figure out how to get. I think I have you now, but you got choppy, so I'm going to switch to my hotspot. See if we'll remedy this issue.
By the way, if you're seeing me with a McDonald's cup, it's because I had McDonald's today.
We're going to have to charge them now. We have to bill them.
Yeah. You know, when your significant other wants something and you're just like, you know what? You deserve it. So do I.
All right, there we go. I think I stopped the screen share.
It's okay.
And, oh, seriously, you're not going to connect to my iPhone?
I've been wanting it, so I put it out in the ether.
All right, are you there, Mason? Because
I'm here.
I connected to my hotspot and it wouldn't connect. I'm like, Jesus Christ, there we go. It's good. That's one thing. If it's not one thing, it's the other. All right, well, we're good for now.
It's all good.
Okay, so anyways, you were saying.
Yes. Did you see that 3-minute clip the other day that was on basically the kind of about Marvel?
I haven't. I mean, I try to stay up on all the Marvel stuff. I'm a Disney Plus
Yeah.
guy, like, so there's so much going on. But no, what am I missing?
So uh I'll say this for some nerds out there, some resources. Obviously, like there's gonna be people that watch this and be like, oh, you don't fucking know what I don't know what I'm talking about, or I'm not nerdy enough, or which I could be more nerdy, but some good resources would just be like if you have Instagram or Facebook, something like that. I don't really follow on Facebook, but subscribing or following Marvel and then IGN, their Instagrams usually have like video game, movie, pretty much just nerd stuff coming up. But one thing that Marvel put out the other day, so I think from what I was understanding is like usually every May Marvel kind of makes it a point, or Disney, Marvel, whatever, makes it a point to put kind of some heat out there, or like a little bit of a buzz. And they kind of put together a little sizzle reel. It was pretty cool because it has the beginning of it has Stan Lee narrating and talking about like family and building a universe and stuff. Like I don't know where the sound clips from, but it's just like fucking Marvel and Disney. Like when they put a trailer or they put something like that together, it is just like they
Epic.
yeah, it's epic. So it's just like it's exactly what it was. It was epic. And then the last maybe minute, there's a little glimpse of Black Widow, which is coming up. Everybody knows about Black Widow, and Eternals, which I believe is set
I
to
saw the
come out.
Eternals. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, it's set to come out in like November, I think. It was actually set to come out in November 2021, but everything got pushed back because of COVID. So now it's November 2022. And yeah, they just had like maybe a 30-second little like teaser, and you see some characters, and then the last little section is them talking about phase 4, and they show like, I guess, posters, not even really posters because it just showed titles, but like animated titles, or however you want to put it, like multimedia titles of their, I don't know if it's all of their next phase, but pretty much I think all of their planned movies for the next phase.
Gives you an idea of the route they're headed for sure.
Yeah, exactly. So it had things like spider the next Spider-Man. It had
Doctor Strange,
Doctor
Guardians, both of
Strange,
those I know
Guardians.
before.
It had a movie which is going to be pretty interesting. I'm excited to see where they go. Black Panther, or I think it's just called Wakanda Forever, and then it's like Black Panther, or I don't know if that's like the main title, but it looked like Wakanda Forever was like like Black Panther was like the little thing. You know what I mean? Like as far as like the what they're trying to promote out of the title.
Well, that's what I liked with so I love what they're doing with Disney Plus, how like you have to follow the Disney Plus series to follow the
Yes.
universe now, which is
Right.
freaking awesome because now it's like every Friday for the most part, I have something to look forward to in my life. No, I have something to look forward to Marvel wise that builds up to these epic launches of the movies, and
Yeah.
like that's just so brilliant to integrate the two together. And you know, if you watched Falcon and Winter Soldier,
Yeah.
the involvement that Wakanda had really kind of set them up to do a lot more with Wakanda outside of just Black Panther, which is pretty awesome. So
Yeah. And that was what was interesting about that Wakanda Forever title, because I was wondering if they were going to, which I wouldn't be opposed to. I know there was kind of some talk of, I think it was just like a fan thing of people saying that they didn't want to see Black Panther be recasted.
yeah, yeah.
Which I understand, but I always thought it would be a cool way, especially because, I mean, I'll probably sound like sexist for it, but I thought it was like a good opportunity for them to like possibly have his sister Shuri be the next Black Panther. Like I'm like I don't know how that's not your, like
I'd be down for that 100%. Yeah.
that's not your go-to. She's a genius. She's not scared to fight, and then like but it's that's but that's what's interesting about this movie is it's like, are they going to like touch that something happened to T'Challa, or so it'll be interesting. And then also, I don't know, same thing, I don't know if it was like a fan made thing. It's one of those things where I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty nerdy about stuff, but I haven't done like a crazy dig on anything as far as Bucky being the White Wolf. And I mean, well, I won't say too much, but if you watch the Falcon and the Winter Soldier series, you kind of see
anybody I think that would get mad about spoilers for that has watched it by now.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
So if you haven't, you're a piece of shit. No, but you know, in the movie, if you remember in Infinity War, you see Bucky and he's getting his arm, and they're going to war, and he's been in Wakanda the whole time. They were trying to, you know, help fix his brain, all that stuff, and get him reconditioned to like the world and everything. So, you know, he's there at this point for, I think, what, 5 years or something like that. So it'll be interesting if they have that as part of the Wakanda Forever. Like I said, it was like a little fan thing. It was a cool like white wolf suit, and like it was like, oh well, this be something they talk about in the next Black Panther movie. Like maybe he takes the mantle, because if you follow the series, he was almost kind of treated like a Wakandan, you know, like.
Yeah.
So I was like, that would be pretty cool. You know what I mean? Like, I'd be interested to see that. So I don't know. It's a either way. I'm just excited for it. Another one was Thor: Love and Thunder, and then
And it's the same producer, right, as Ragnarok?
yes, yeah, Taika Waititi.
Yeah.
And
So it's going to be hopefully epic, like soundtrack and colors and all the everything that we loved about Ragnarok. You know, the whole vibe.
Yeah, I love Ragnarok. And then there was a couple other things, but I know like Hawkeye's supposed to get a show that wasn't released on there though. And yeah, there was like one other thing that looked pretty. Oh, Fantastic Four. That was another one. They literally showed the four and all that. I was like, oh shit, the next phase is gonna have Fantastic Four.
That's what I see a lot of like fan stuff where they talk about integrating Fantastic Four and X-Men.
Yeah,
you know, like it started to bring the mutants into it, which I mean, there's so much they could do for so long. That I think that's the thing I'm most excited about is I'm like, if they keep doing it right, like they're doing it, we can enjoy this for decades.
Yes.
You know, like that's what's so awesome about it. I mean, and I've had some people like act like they're burnt out, like, oh, Marvel's beating the money horse or whatever. I'm like, they keep releasing epic stuff. And if you actually follow the universe, that's why it's so exciting. If you just watch a random movie without following the others, it's not as exciting. Then you could be like, oh, well, that wasn't that great of a movie or whatever. I'm like, well, maybe the movie itself wasn't all that great, but tied into the bigger picture, it's awesome. The whole thing is awesome. You know?
Yeah, so. That's the biggest thing. And that's like what was pretty interesting about something like Endgame or Infinity War. Endgame especially is maybe Thor: The Dark World wasn't the greatest movie. I mean, you know, it had its flaws, but they literally like take you back into that movie with Endgame. They force you to be like, hey, now you're gonna rethink and you're gonna like we're gonna make you like Dark World, which is cool that they do stuff like that, or they follow that stuff in the series. And that was actually something that was in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, when they were talking about Madripoor, when they went to that city to meet Shannon, and you know, they were there to see Zemo and stuff, where like, you know, everybody was like cracking up because Baron Zemo was like dancing in the club.
I was getting some real did you watch that show on Netflix, Altered Carbon?
Yes.
Yeah, I was getting some real Altered Carbon vibes, which by the way, the first season was epic and then it's been just kind of garbage, but you know.
Right.
Anyways, back to Marvel.
Yeah, but that was actually something. So that city, Madripoor is canon to X-Men. Like there's a lot of
I read about that.
And,
yeah. They were kind of hinting that he might know Magneto, he might have been there or something like that. Yeah. So
there's some interesting stuff. So
I know Wolverine's been there a lot, right? In some of the comics. So
so either way, I'm like, damn, like there's so much, and it's like it's cool to see like what timeline they're gonna go with, how they're gonna like, you know, mix it in and all that stuff. Like I know Doctor Strange is supposed to be Multiverse of Madness, so we'll see where that takes. Like,
but I really think that WandaVision is setting up a lot of Doctor Strange involvement.
Yeah,
you know, so that's.
I had read the other day that was originally Doctor Strange was supposed to be in the final episode of my girlfriend's smiling over here. She loved that show. we watched that show so many times, especially like those last two episodes. But yeah, I guess he was supposed to be in it, and then I can't remember what the talk was like, why he didn't end up being in it. But either way, that is actually supposed to lead into Multiverse of Madness. What was that show called? WandaVision is supposed to actually lead into that. And then same thing with the Falcon and the Winter Soldier is earlier, it was like a week or two ago, they announced that there's actually in the talks for 2 Captain America movies to be released. So there's Captain America 4, and then supposedly I don't know, I think it's just rumor mill. I don't know if it's like set in stone yet. Another one was supposed to be like Captain America Lost in Time or Man Lost in Time, which I think definitely they said that the creator or the writer of Falcon and Winter Soldier is going to be doing that movie, so that's going to have that like crossover. And then that fourth one, nobody said anything yet. They're not like, I think it's just talk, but I think it's safe to say that might be the return of Steve Rogers in that, or some passing of the torch or whatever it is. But I think that other, because it's supposed to be its own separate movie, is going to have, what's his name coming back? Chris Evans.
Yeah, that could be good. Yeah, I'm pumped for all that. And I'm definitely not a huge Star Wars nerd. I wouldn't even call myself a huge Marvel nerd. Like I've read a lot of comics, but not like most people. I'm not. But like you said, there's a lot of people that could listen to me and be like, "This guy doesn't know anything about that." I don't, but yeah. I enjoy it, and I'm more nerdy with regards to Marvel than I am Star Wars. But I know enough about both. I've seen all the movies. I've read a lot of the comics and stuff like that. I get online and read fanfic, not like full fan fiction like some people, but I read the theories and speculate and stuff. So,
right.
But the other thing Disney's doing obviously is Star Wars, right? Which, the movies, you can kind of say maybe they didn't really knock it out of the park like they've done with Marvel. But
those last couple.
What they've done with Disney Plus, Mandalorian was awesome. And then I actually just started last night. We watched The Bad Batch, which that just came out, so I'm not going to talk about it. But for it being a PG, like nerfed for kids cartoon, I enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to the next one. So I'm excited to see more of that and actually get Mandalorian actually got Becca into Star Wars because she still hasn't seen the movies. Yeah, she's never seen the Star Wars movies.
Oh wow!
Like she saw one, I think the seventh one, she saw with me in the theaters.
Right.
And that's when I learned. We were there, and she's like, "So what is all this about?" I'm like, "You've never seen Star Wars?" Like
that's insane.
So, yeah. So she wants to watch all the movies because she learned enough from Mandalorian to be like, to know what it's about. But more importantly is we got tickets to go to Disneyland, the one that's by us. In a couple weeks. And so
really?
I'm pumped for that because we were season pass holders before, right? We took Riley a bunch, and then
I didn't know that.
The plague hit, and then we stopped going. But so we're going again in May, and so she wants to watch all the Star Wars movies. I told him, like, I don't think we're gonna be able to do that because it's a couple weeks from now and there's 9 movies, but she wants to do that because now when we go back to the Star Wars land over there, she can enjoy it more because she knows more about it. But
right.
Then the other thing before we get on, otherwise this whole episode will just be, I guess we're body geeks. So
nerd talk. Yeah.
Is that the Avengers campus at Disney?
Yes.
They're opening that too. And so we're going to try and get tickets again for June to go back for that. Cause every time we would take Riley, we'd go to Tower of Terror turned into the Guardians of the Galaxy ride.
Right. Guardians.
Yeah. We would go there. And even if we didn't go on the ride, cause Riley was too small, right? I would go in there and I would buy a comic book. So like every time we'd go, I'd leave with the new comic book that I'd read.
Right.
And they have a decent little selection there. And me being kind of somewhat naive to the comics, like there was plenty for me to grab. But so yeah, that was cool. But excited for all that. Something to look forward to next couple months for sure.
Yeah, it's gonna be legit. I stopped at me, my girlfriend, and a few friends of ours went to downtown Disney a few weeks ago, and just for the day. It was like 2-3 Saturdays ago now. And actually it was the night of the fights. So we like during the day we had gone to downtown Disney, and I don't know if you remember like where Rainforest Cafe was, but they turned that into a Star Wars store. So It's like a brand new Star Wars store. So that was pretty cool, like seeing all the different stuff and the lightsabers and all that. I was this close to buying a lightsaber.
Well, and Disney supposedly has a new lightsaber that's like more realistic or something now.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was another. Yeah, that was another one that was on IGN. So the ones that they have at the store, you can buy them at different lengths, but like they light up, they make noise.
And they're like they got some weight to them. Like
it
feels like an actual.
They're actually metal. Yeah, they're actually metal, and like you hold it and you're like, oh shit, it felt. I held Kylo Ren's and Obi-Wan's, and Kylo Ren's was like, yeah, it was interesting.
So when we took Riley there, she was like not even 2 or barely 2, like, barely walking around.
Right.
So she didn't know what was going on really. But when we were in the Star Wars land, I took her into one of the shops that had that, and I gave her the option of 2, one from the Force and one from the dark side.
Yeah.
And she picked the dark side. So I guess we're a Sith family now. But,
yeah.
yeah.
That I had seen that new one. It actually, like, I don't even know how you say it. It actually, I guess, extends and retracts, but it's not like one of those cheap looking ones where, it like collapses within itself. I can't even describe what I saw. Like,
Yeah.
But I guess that's actually set to release in like another couple months or something like that. But yeah, I saw that online and I was like, holy shit. I'd sent it to my buddy Jeremy, who was one of the guys that we went to, and I guess he's like, I think he told me he already owns like 3 or 4 of the lightsabers now, and he like bought everything, like the case that it comes with and all that. And then
they have, like, you could buy a full on like stormtrooper suit for like $2,500, and it's like,
oh yeah,
I legit. Don't doubt that. And like I saw people buying them when we were there. I'm like, man, that the fans of things like Marvel and Star Wars, like, they're so loyal that they'll literally go into debt buying all this cool stuff that they keep coming out with.
Yeah, for sure.
So make sure to own some Disney stock. That's for sure.
yeah, no kidding. Especially now that things are opening back up, and yeah, it's going to shoot back up again.
Yeah, no, I'm pumped to go because it's limited capacity at the park, and so I was like, we would
go
better. We would go before, like during the week, and it wasn't bad, but it was still crowded. But I'm like, we're going to get to experience Disney at like 20% capacity. This is going to be awesome. Like, yeah, because that's my number one thing I don't like about Disney is I'm not a people person. So large crowds, not a fan. But yeah. Anyways, all right, let's move on a little bit. It's an exciting month, May, for bodybuilding. Because normally, like, every year I would get excited for the Arnold, right? And you get to watch that on a live stream or something. And that was usually in March. Sometimes as early as late February, but usually always March. And that was like the kickoff to the season, even though they usually have maybe a show or two beforehand, but that was the first like big show of the season. And then you have like the New York Pro, and then, some of the summer shows, and then get ready for the Olympia. So like as a bodybuilding fan, you kind of had a couple times a year where there's like a lot of hype, and then it's really boring, and then a lot of hype again, right? Like Arnold and the Olympia. So the Arnold this year was postponed because of the plague. And so the kickoff kind of is, well, there was a show in Pittsburgh that just had classic physique. So that kind of
was that Pittsburgh Pro?
No, I don't think they call it the Pittsburgh Pro. That's usually in the summer. This was, I think, something else. I know they have one in Pittsburgh in July that's like a Masters Pro show too. I didn't get the name of this one, and I honestly haven't really checked to see who won or who competed or whatever, but it happened. So I'm going to get to go back and look at pictures, especially because classic physique, I follow that, but no, we have this weekend is the Indy Pro, and there's a famous guy. I'll share my screen again. I'm sure a lot of people know who he is, but who's making his debut, hasn't been on stage in a long time. They call him the Boogeyman, and hopefully I don't butcher his name, Blessing Awadabu.
Oh yeah.
He's making a lot of noise. Well, for one, he's an influencer or a social media guy, so he posts a bunch of like stupid stuff. But that's what influencers do. So no disrespect. I get it, But there's a good picture. Let me share my screen. But as a bodybuilding fan, I'm pretty pumped for this guy. And his thing is he's kind of saying like, let's see, got it? There we go. Yeah. So he's been saying things like, he wants to change bodybuilding or change the culture of bodybuilding. And he's kind of talked a lot of trash to some of the other competitors and like hyped himself up. And he's entertaining, which, to be honest, the sport of bodybuilding really needs. And I don't like douchey trash talk, but I like good trash talk. If you're confident, you're coming in and you want to like ruffle some feathers, by all means do it. I like that stuff. It's different when you're just talking trash for attention. It's one thing to talk trash because you're passionate. And I don't know, I'm a fan of this guy. It's weird for me to say it because like douchey influencers, I'm not a fan of. I don't like that culture,
Yeah, right.
But I like what he's doing. I like what he's saying, and he's a real one. I mean, you look at his physique and you look at some of the stuff he's doing. I think he's working with Chad Nichols. So, anyways, he's coming out to the Indie Pro, and there's a few other people in that show. I think Justin Rodriguez is another guy who could, honestly, Blessing is going to have to beat him as far as like how I look at it. It's
Right.
not this isn't Blessing show to lose by any means, but he could very well show up and kind of shock the whole industry and make a mark.
Right.
The other one I want to mention is Dorian Haywood, because he works with Dave Kalick, who's a friend of mine, Physique Inc., Stan McQuay's thing.
Right.
So and he's consistently gotten better from year to year. And then in the 212, a guy named John Jewett, who I started kind of following, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago, just because he gets crazy shredded and he's got a good looking physique. So there's a whole lot more people in there. Sorry if I missed your favorite bodybuilder. This isn't a synopsis or breakdown. I'm kind of excited for, all of 2020, we didn't have a whole lot of bodybuilding because all these shows were canceled or postponed or whatever. So this is kind of getting back in the swing of things where it's like, all right, now you start following these shows, following the points and seeing the Olympia qualifications to really hype up for the fall. But anyways, not just the Indy, there's a New York Pro and the Cal all this month, all in May. Right. So for the New York Pro, there's going to be a whole bunch of like great people in there, but there's one in particular. There we go. The guy who's working with Matt Jansen, which, we've chatted with Matt before. This guy, Nick Walker, who's just freaking insane with the amount of muscle that he carries. Let me find, there's one in here. Well, we could look at a stage shot, I guess.
And which show is this? Is this guy coming to?
So he's getting ready for the New York Pro.
Got it.
Yeah. And he gets peeled. He's a freaky bodybuilder for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
He's one of those people that just, the amount of muscle he carries. Let me actually go to Matt Jansen's page.
Yeah, I will say about Blessings is I do remember, like, kind of seeing some stuff about him a few years ago, and he was big, but it was like I didn't know what exactly to think of him, and all that stuff. And I just remember I wasn't maybe on social media as much, and then all of a sudden I matched the name again, and I saw him looking like, just winning some show, and I was like, damn, he is like really respectable. He's not just like out there talking. Like, I'm like, he shows up when it's time. You know what I mean? And like, that was actually really impressive. I was like, God damn, like, because it's all these guys look big and all these guys look a certain way. It's different. Like, it was funny because I mean, we came up in the time with like Ronnie Coleman and stuff, and how many times was it every year like, oh, this freak from somewhere, and guys like, what was it, Alexander Fedorov and stuff, and you're like, oh, this guy is gonna Joel Stubbs, these guys are gonna come out of nowhere. And it's like, yeah, these guys look like, all these guys look amazing, and all these guys shit on my physique. You know what I mean? But it's different when you see them with literally like the 1% of the 1% on like stages like the Olympia and stuff.
That's what I've always told people when you're looking at social media, right? I'm like, a ton of people can look great on social media. A ton of people can look strong on social media.
Yeah.
But until you put those numbers on the platform, or until you put that physique on the stage, those are your two true tests of what you got going on. You know what I mean? That's where the rubber meets the road, So anyways, New York Pro,
God damn.
I haven't found the list for that yet, but I'm sure there's going to be a whole bunch of people like, these two guys are kind of the young up and comers. So I don't want to act like they're the favorites, but the interesting thing is that Blessing has kind of focused his sights on Nick, because they're both kind of the new guys on the block. Right. And so there's kind of like this little showdown between the two of them. There's been this, like, that it seems like there's, I'm sure that they're not like buddies, but they don't hate each other, but
it's like a friendly rivalry.
Yeah. And, maybe bordering on the line of not so friendly. Like, I'm sure both of them desperately want to beat the other one. Right. But it's something that's exciting because you get like a little bit of a rivalry going. And so when you watch the show, like that's cool. And even following both of these guys leading up to the show, you get to see more of the passion that comes out in this, to actually do something for a glorified beauty pageant. But, that's what's cool about it. But anyway, so there's Nick that Matt posted, which is just, you don't see that kind of muscle very often. And I think he's only like 24 or 25 years old or something crazy. Somebody, if I'm wrong, please let me know. But he's he's a young guy and he's like that already. So that's wild. But yeah, let's see. Blessing posted, I thought it was kind of cool being the influencer, you know, using his connections, I'm sure, to make videos and graphics and things. Where's that? Damn it. This guy posts that much? There it is. He posted this, like the boogeyman versus the mutant, you know, for the New York
cool.
Pro.
Right.
So like I like seeing stuff like this because this looks like it's a, you know, UFC fight poster or something like. So we should get hyped for these shows just to see stuff like that, you know. So
yeah, and that's where you know, federations and, you know, places like IFBB, NPC need to like do stuff like this. Like this is made from him or maybe one of his buddies or somebody, you know, and it's like, dude, like this looks fucking awesome, you know, and then they're putting the same bullshit that's out there and like they're wondering why people aren't paying attention. You know what I mean? Like,
you know,
it shouldn't be coming from the athletes to make this stuff. You know what I mean?
And you know what's crazy is social media. You know, now the new classes in bodybuilding, like men's physique and bikini and classic physique and everything, helped tremendously. But it was social media that really made them explode, right? And same thing with powerlifting. Like when we started powerlifting, there was like 10 powerlifters in the world, and now there's meets fill up and sell out. You got to register way ahead of time. There's tons of federations, and you know, the thing that it's great is that social media built that. But the thing, I'm kind of disappointed in is I think that the people putting on the shows at the professional and amateur level and the people putting on the powerlifting meets, I agree with you. They need to step their game up, and they need to start promoting content like this. I mean, the fact that the IFBB or even like USPA or USPLA or any of those, like the fact that they don't have at least a YouTube channel with like a dedicated kind of Sports Center-esque type shows on there, they're really missing the ball. I mean, if we've both seen firsthand, we know how much money social media can make whenever you produce good content, right? And I'm like, they're literally focusing on making money selling tickets to shows and entries and tickets to meets and whatever else, right? Or entry fees to meets, memberships, whatever, which is great. But if they stepped up their content production game, they could make so much money and it would be so much more entertaining for everybody. Like I've said that before and I've told myself like, well, why don't I do that? Why don't we be like the guys that do that? But I don't have the time or the monetary resources to do it properly to the way that I'm actually trying to say that somebody needs to do it. I mean, in bodybuilding, the fact that like Nick Strength and Power is like one of the people that gives bodybuilding news. And he's just basically doing like an iMovie with the voiceover, like what I've done in some of my videos. I'm like, that's ridiculous that could be the thing or the number one source of media or one of the main sources of media, you know? So anyways, a little rant over.
No. Trust me, you're not wrong. I mean, that's, I mean, how many different things have we seen like that? You know what I mean? Like it's just, it's just kind of lazy, you know? It's like, oh, we'll let this guy do it. I mean, you know, the company that me and you like with the supplement stores and stuff, like that was one of my biggest gripes was like, hey, instead of like just being like, hey, here's our 30th blonde girl on the beach playing football, you know what I mean? Like, okay, like that's selling supplements to who? You know what I mean? Like, but literally like
the 90s called.
What it fucking should have been is like, hey, here's our shop of the month, or here's our fucking, you know, location of the month. This is so and so. Tell them a little about yourself. Why should we go to you? Hey, brand new, you know, grand opening here. It's like
here's one of our store owners that competes in bodybuilding and powerlifting and coaches people at the highest levels do it. Thanks, guys.
Or the fact me and my girl are like putting together a little podcast, and I talked about that on you know, a little like test run we had done, and I was like, you know, I said initially, like, you know, I was tied into this contract where it was like a non-compete or something. I was like, and then I was like, wait, like I'm just gonna join other like sponsors because they literally haven't given me anything. And then I told her I was like, when I went to go like look at their Instagram and stuff, I was like, not only like did they not promote me at the time, I was literally like their only actual good athlete because I was ranked like 3rd in the world. I was like, they weren't even following me on Instagram. I was like how fucking like that's stuff like that. You got companies that it's like, hey, maybe you should, I don't know, follow your athlete. You know what I mean? Like come on, like how much little effort does it take?
So, that's one of the things I see from Animal that I love that they do. Animal sponsors a lot of people, and then they kind of sponsor people that are reclusive, that don't really do like promote a whole lot of their own stuff. And then they make videos for them, and they constantly promote them and use that to promote their company. And that's, I mean, it's not that hard of a formula, right? Like just gotta, I think what it is you just have to care about what your athlete is doing. And if the company doesn't care about what the athlete is doing, then they're not going to be able to capitalize on the potential marketing. But as an athlete, you don't want to work with a company that doesn't give a shit about what you're doing, and that's why you and I have hightailed it and we're doing different things, but
exactly.
So yeah, I'm excited. And shout out to Blessing, because he's making things interesting, and he's doing stuff to create some hype. And, if his, like he says here, changing the game, if he really wants to change the culture of bodybuilding and make it more exciting, and, share his passion, what he thinks it is, dude, I've been around the game a long time, and I'm not easily impressed, but you got me as a fan, and I'm following what you're doing, so. Yep.
Yeah. Like I said, and that's coming from two guys that are pretty much anti influencer. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
He's out there doing that, but he's also like, look at the package I bring and stuff. It's like, oh, you can't be like not a fan of the guy.
I mean, you know what? I think I've learned something, especially from looking at him. Yeah. I mean, like, look at his physique there. That's he's like 270 something pounds in that picture too. So like,
that's nuts.
Yeah. Like, I think what it is I have no problem with people doing the influencer thing, because I get it. That's how you make money. And that's just what things are now. If you want to be a successful bodybuilder or powerlifter in terms of having sponsorships and making money from doing it, you have to be a little bit of a douchey influencer, right? Like you have to kind of put yourself out there in whatever ways you're creatively comfortable. For us, we do podcasts, I write articles and things like that. For other people, they get a little more creative on Instagram and do some wild, stupid stuff that I honestly don't care about. But the thing that's different is if you actually do something outside of, like, for example, he is a bodybuilder, a professional bodybuilder, right?
Yeah.
And an influencer. People that are just influencers that don't actually do anything else, it's like, well, you're just chasing fame for fame. And that's what I don't like, know? So anyways, I'm excited because, we got the Indy Pro, the New York Pro, and the Cal Pro. They have open in 212, except the Cal is just open. So the month of May, we're going to have a lot of bodybuilding news, get to see a lot of physiques, and kind of get this season underway, to start hyping up the Olympia this fall.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Trying to get smoother with my toggling between sharing my screen and not. Some of the other notes I had on here, I haven't heard back from any of my interviews yet, but I didn't expect to. It takes a little bit of time, but I've heard good things. Some of the people that I put down as references said they did a reference check on me, and they usually only do reference checks on like their top 2 or 3 candidates.
Right.
So that means I'm in the running for one of the jobs. And this is a big one for me, because if I get it, then that puts me at a salary level that a lender will approve us for the loan on the price point of home we want to buy.
Oh shit. That's awesome.
We paid down debt. We got some money saved. And so now we're just waiting on that approval, which, we could get approved by random ass lenders, but like we're doing it right. We're patient. So yeah, this promotion is big. This is a big one for me. So I'm still fingers crossed on that. The other thing is that I'm sure you've seen it, or we've talked about it, and then some of the people that follow me have seen it. I started writing articles for medium.com, right? And Medium is supposed to be like a YouTube for writers, if that makes sense. Like you could write an article, you post it out there, and then they share it with their audience, and you can like get followers, right? Who like your writing. And I wrote like 12 or 13 articles, not a whole lot. I didn't get one single view from anything other than what I was doing. It was all my people, all my followers, right? So I'm kind of pissed at Medium right now. Like everything I read, everybody's like, well, you got to stick with it and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I ran the statistics on it, and I'm like, if they pay people for views, like 99% of the writers make less than $100 a month to write like every day. And I was like, surely I would have gotten at least one view from somebody else. And so anyways, what it motivated me to do is to actually get off my ass and get to work on a website. So Body Geeks Online is underway.
Oh, shit.
I got really ambitious. I got up on Monday, super early. I think it was Monday. Maybe it was last week. Anyways, days blend together. I got up extra early and I was like, I'm going to do WordPress with Elementor. It's like a drag and drop feature, and I'll be able to figure out this website, and I'll build it and get it going. And I started, and I got like 3 hours into it, and had like a good little rough draft, but it was all screwed up. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to exercise a little wisdom here and understand that I don't need to be an expert on website building. In fact, I never want to build one.
Right.
So I'm going to hire somebody to build this for me and teach me how to use it. And then I'm just going to be able to use it. But Body Geeks website is coming. And with that, we will have merch. And one thing I did do that I'm kind of proud of is I wrote an ebook, a training program, and I did the graphics of it myself using Canva. So I have an ebook that's actually ready to go. So when we launch this website, we'll have merch and an ebook on there, as well as the coaching services that the URI offer, that we can have a little information on there. But I'm pumped for that, because all these articles I write, I'm going to post them on my blog now on the Body Geeks website. And just the goal is to, do at least one of these podcasts a week, and then do 1 to 2 articles a week. And then as things progress, I would like to do some more YouTube videos for the channel, and just produce more content. I've had so many people for so long reach out to me via messages and asking questions, and, asking me when I'm going to do this or that or whatever. And it feels good to be like on that cusp of finally having like some legit thing it's ours, like we're not working for another company or working with, after everything we've done and all the experience we have, like this is us and we get to do it how we want. And
exactly.
I'm freaking so excited for that. So
yeah, it's a good thing to finally have.
Yeah. Yep. And that's the only other thing I had today was that I kind of went on a rant this morning after I went to the gym, because
I've been meaning to watch it. I started watching it at work, and then I was like, oh, I'm at work, I can't, like, you know what I mean, like I got to be busy. Like, I just saw like, and then I like kind of moved it a little forward. Then I saw you something about like, Dirty Gary, and I was like, oh fuck, I gotta listen to it later.
So I've been going to the gym. I try to get there at 6 in the morning, because that's when they open, right? And that's really the only time I could train right now, because Becca and Riley are still sleeping, and it's before work. So like that's the only time where I can go and be uninterrupted and just have like my hour to myself. Mm-hmm. And I lost my light. What the hell? Stay on. Go. It's probably gonna turn off again. Anyways, so one of the things I was pumped is I was like, well, if I'm going at 6 in the morning, the gym will be empty and I won't have to deal with people, because that's like no more Globo gyms for me, no more commercial gyms, because I'm just over it. Done it for too long. Right. And I don't know what the hell's going on post-pandemic, but the gym has been abnormally busy at 6 in the morning, and it's kind of irritating, because I was like, well, you guys should be sleeping or doing something else. What the hell? But I'm excited. I guess people are into fitness or whatever. I'm supposed to be excited for that.
Anyways.
I guess. So the you could guess what the most irritating thing to me is when I have to wait for a piece of equipment and somebody's just on Instagram or screwing around, So I got my workout in, but I had to do exercises out of order, and, I still crushed it, still beat my logbook, and, things are flying up. But I think the thing that irritates me the most is there's so many people on the internet trying to find information on like how to build muscle, how to burn fat, right? How to improve this or that. And whenever I go to a gym and I see people not train hard, I'm like, the answers are so simple. Instead of looking up all this, this special protein that you should take or this wild training program you should follow, the first thing you should do is just train hard. And so I kind of ranted about like, if you're not making progress, the first thing that you should check is your rest periods, and I had a few questions afterwards, and a few people that I actually had one message that was kind of funny, because they responded basically saying, well, you need longer rest periods if you're training for strength, like for powerlifting. But I had given a response in that same thread that said like, yeah, you can have a little more rest periods before like compound strength movements. But they before I could even respond to them, they sent me another message like, oh, never mind, disregard. Like, I see what you're getting at. But so the thing I want to talk about is, if you want to stimulate a muscle to grow, right? If you want to even build strength, training with a heavier weight is that's the first thing people go with. They think like, oh, lift a heavier weight, build a bigger muscle. And the thing is it's a progressive increase in weight, progressive overload, right? Progressive increase in weight, which leads to that. The muscle doesn't know the exact poundage of what you're lifting. Heavy is relative to you. Okay. So simply resting longer to lift a heavier weight doesn't necessarily stimulate the muscle anymore. You have to factor in those rest periods. So a way that you can actually get the muscle to stimulate and grow is by what we call increasing training density, which basically means doing more in a shorter period of time by decreasing your rest periods, right? It's very, very similar to like increasing volume, which is like increasing the total number of reps over, possibly a longer period of time, just more work in general. More work in a shorter period of time is also a way to accomplish that. So, you could, if you're plateaued and you actually just cut your rest periods down, you might even end up using a lighter weight because you're cutting your rest periods down. And then you'd be surprised if the muscle grows and then your strength increases, so like, yeah, that was my whole rant. Is I just want to tell people, because I'd like to give a little bit of a fitness, weightlifting commentary on this podcast. And for people to learn is check your rest periods. How long are you resting for? Like,
that's a big
be aware
one.
of that.
And that's something that, wait, there he is. You there?
Yeah. Can you hear me? There you go.
There you are. Yeah. Yeah. And that was something I like. That's an easy one that, it's easy to get in that kind of mindset where like, oh, I need to do a heavier weight, or I need to, and like probably for me over the last couple of years, my rest periods have gotten increasingly shorter, especially as A, I'm crunched for time. B, I'm not lifting the weight I was, when I was healthy. So it's like, how can I make this more challenging? Is try to fit in as much in as little as time as possible. Obviously with like good control. That's another thing, is a lot of these people that we see, or that like, I mean, if you guys could be honest with yourselves, you're waiting 5 to 10 minutes to do something kind of half-ass, you know what I mean? Or do some awkward ass looking reps. How much muscle are you activating? Probably the wrong ones, and probably exactly what you're going after. It's different if you lower.
Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just saying it's different if you maybe lower the weight, do some more controlled stuff, time under tension, or just try to fit in, maybe a few more reps in a shorter rest period, like you said, and that's one thing I make a mental note to do to myself, is like, I either physically time myself, or I put a stopwatch on, and I'm like, if it's a bigger, something like a leg press or something, I'll try to at max maybe put that out like 3 minutes, but usually I'm trying to go like 2 minutes, 120 seconds, 90 to 120 seconds. Yesterday I did, I was crunched for time. I was tired. I was, everything. I've been like, my pec feels like it's going to strain and stuff. So I did some bench, and then it was like, what can I do in a short period of time that's going to get as much blood in the muscles? Like, oh, I could do push-ups. I did push-ups with, those handles, that pretty much every gym has that nobody uses. So I can get deeper, and like I'd stretch at the bottom, and basically I did, 4 by 25 and maybe less than 5 minutes. You know what I mean? And it was just like, I felt awesome after that. And I was able to be like, all right, I'm ready to go home.
And then another thing that where most people I think really screw up is you don't need a lot of rest in between your warm-up sets.
No,
like
no,
you're if you're trying to do like 4 sets of 8 to 12 reps, you're not doing 4 heavy ass sets of 8 to 12 reps.
No,
you're doing maybe 1 or 2. You really only need 1, if not maybe 2 at most, heavy sets per exercise, unless you're doing like a specific, programming that calls for something different based on some other theory, right? But, right. So like, for example, using the leg press, like you talked about, I would usually do like 5 to 6 sets on the leg press, because the first like 3 to 4 are warm-up sets, right?
Yeah.
I'm just going to start with like a plate on each side and just start adding weight. And to be honest, usually the only rest that I had was to get up and add weight. I didn't sit around for like another 2 or 3 or 4 minutes, after I just leg pressed 100 pounds, like it's so like, that's what I see is like, I was waiting on a hammer strength low row today. And I love this specific machine because one of my weak points is always like my mid traps. And this one just nails it right there. So like I did I was supposed to do it second, I think, in my workout order. And I did like 3 exercises while this one dude was sitting on it. And it was pissing me off. And so it ended up having to be the last exercise I did. And only because I basically went up to him and I was like, hey, you're done, right? I didn't say like how many sets you got. I was like, you're done, right?
You didn't give him an option.
Which was You know,
so are you done? Or are you done?
it goes to show you how your demeanor actually, because he like got off right away, and he's bigger than I am right now. It goes to show you how your demeanor can carry you, you know, kind of far. Because before, whenever oh, my batteries might be dying. Yeah, whenever I was jacked, it was easy. Sometimes I would just walk up to a machine, just set my bag on the ground, and people are like, "Hey, I'll get out of your way," you know. But yeah, so I I was, as I was doing these other like 3 exercises, right? Like you know, I'm knocking him out, but I'm keeping an eye on that machine, because I'm like, okay, well, if I could wrap up this one and he walks away,
Right.
I'll go grab it real quick, you know. And I was just watching
Just
him,
go jump
and
on it. Yeah.
yeah, so I saw him, like, I think he worked up to like 2 plates, maybe 2 1/4, but I saw him like put 1 plate on each side, and he hit like a set, and then he kind of sat there for like, dude, like 2 or 3 minutes. And then he put like a 10 on each side and hit like a set, and sat there for like another 2 or 3 minutes.
Oh
He
my
was like
God.
scrolling on his phone, you know, and I'm like, this dude just wait, like, he just wasted his own time. Like
Yeah.
that exercise did very little for him, and he wasted my time. And that's what I'm really pissed about. Is I'm like, dude, I may not look like much right now, but if I'm getting out of bed at 6 in the morning to go to the gym, I'm hungry, because I hate training in the
Right.
morning, you know. So,
Right.
anyways, all the more reason to get a home and build a home gym, and I'll be set. But don't have to worry about any of that.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, man, we've been at it, I think, about an hour, and my light's dying. You got anything else to add to this episode?
No. I mean, we're doing a little something different this week, as to show you that, you know, life happens. I had some studying to do on Sundays, so I got a little crunch for time, a little behind. So we're recording this on a Wednesday. But other than that, I guess happy Cinco de Mayo. I mean, obviously, you guys are going to be listening to this in a day or two, so
Yeah, I'll get
hopefully
up.
you
I'll try and
drove.
get up to it
Hopefully you
tomorrow.
drove safe.
Yeah.
Hopefully you drove safe and you weren't an idiot. You know, or if you're still up partying from the night before, like, hey, get home safe. Don't go to work. Call in. But you know, me and Brandon will be at work. But yeah, you guys can call in. Take
Yeah.
the night.
And
Other than
and
that, yeah.
yeah, and also we'll probably record next Wednesday as well, because this Sunday is Mother's Day. And yeah, I'm sure we'll have some duties for that. And I'm in the position now where I have a mother, but I also have Becca, who is a mother. And because Riley is not old enough to take responsibility for that job, it falls on me to give her a good Mother's Day. So I have to provide 2 Mother's Days on Sunday. So
Oh man.
yeah, I think I may be unavailable on Sunday. So we'll probably have to push the next
Oh
episode to
yeah.
Wednesday as well. So
Okay. Yeah, that's fine.
yep. All right. Well, if that's it, man, I guess we'll sign out.
Sounds good.
All right. You're tuned in to Body Geeks. Stay tuned for more.